Hello everybody and welcome to another wonderful day here at Juma Game Reserve, here in the heart of the African bush. My name's Tara, I'm going to be your guide this afternoon, and this afternoon I have Jared on board with me on camera.
Hi everyone.
And we also have Kath in final control. So for those of you who haven't joined us before, we're going to take you on a 3-hour game drive around here in the beautiful game reserve in Sabi Sands and see what animals we can find. So I really hope you get to stay with us. We're going to have a look out for some leopard. There has been a lot of activity around here from monkeys calling earlier on as well, and Jared also had some tracks earlier on this morning. So we're going to have a look around this area, maybe go out to a couple of dams and come back a bit later on when it's a bit cooler as well. So please stay with us and see if we have any luck finding those leopard. Keep your fingers crossed. But for now we've got some baboons further away from me and some warthogs, so I'm going to jump in and see if we can get a bit closer and have a look at them before they disappear into the bush.
Looks like they're all walking away.
So we've just been sat here watching them for the last few moments, and they were all around here looking for food, and I'm sure they know when we go live here with Safari TV, because they all seem to disappear out of shot as soon as we go live. I've got the warthogs here. They've been fairly relaxed. We'll see if we can just move past them so we can get a nice shot of their faces for you. And the baboons just in the background. So I'm trying to be very, very slow, because the warthogs around here do seem to run away fairly quickly. But with us being sat here, I'm hoping they've got used to us. And it looks like that female's not too bothered about us. You can see by her tushes, she's a fairly young female. Sometimes you do get quite long tushes, and I'm just calling them tushes because they're the canine teeth rather than the incisors on an elephant or on a hippo, for example. And you can see the hair on the back of the smaller one, and just before I had it erected, and that's a way that warthogs will try and make themselves look bigger. And if you think about when a cat and dog come into conflict with each other, the cat will raise its hair, it will erect its hair on the back and arch its back and try and make itself look a lot bigger than what it is. And that's basically what the hair on the back helps the warthog to do. And so that youngster does make it stand up every so often. I'm wondering if it was when the baboons were walking past especially, that hair did go up. Maybe he was just a little bit unsettled by them. Now, if there's any new viewers who'd like to know how on earth you send questions through, because remember this is live, so what we are seeing, you're seeing at the same time as us. And if there's any questions you would like to ask us, please feel free to send them through. And that's to final control at safari.tv. And Kath will be able to radio through them, and I'll answer them as best I can. Now you can see quite nicely on this female here the 2 lumps on her face, and that's where they get their English name from, the warthog. And the males have 4 warts on the face, 2 by the mouth and 2 by the eyes, and the females, those 2 just by the eyes there. Mainly for protection of those areas. And in males they do tend to get a lot larger because they again will fight with each other, so they need to have extra protection there. I don't know if any of you have seen The Lion King, I'm sure most of you have, but when Disney made the character Pumbaa, they got him spot on. And they will eat insects as well as meat, especially in the winter time when there's not as much food available, just like other pigs from around the world. Peccaries from South America will also eat a bit of meat. So they omnivores rather than pure herbivores. But they'll mostly eat the grass, the roots, and they'll use that very strong nose like a spade to dig into the ground and get at the roots. And you quite often see them kneeling on their knees. I see some of the baboons are moving on, so I'm just going to pull a bit further around and have a look at them while we still have them in view. I saw there was a very large male that was just walking down the road. Yeah, it looks like they're going to cross the road to go and join them. One in the tree here. You see her. Seems to be a little bit more shy than some of the others. You see she's wanting to mate. You can see how swollen her backside is. And she'll quite often walk in front of the male, and if he's sitting down, she'll put her head down just to display to him that she is ready to mate. Let's see if I can move forward a little bit. Oh, here we go, there's the rest of them. I have managed to speak to Graham, and Graham Cook does some research on the baboons here at Juma Game Reserve. There's one on the road there in front of us as well. And he said the Tankman is okay. It was Darth Vader who seemed to have come off worse. Apparently when I was on leave they had a bit of a fight, and Darth Vader is quite a large male, and we thought he was going to try and take over the troop from Tankman, who is at the moment the leader of the troop. And what seems to have happened is he's been incorporated into the troop. Now, according to Graham, the troop's increased from about 13 or 14 to about 17. And what's quite interesting is this troop has kind of accepted Graham, and he can sit with them. He usually goes in on a quad bike and sits with them, and they get quite close. And at one stage it sounded like this new male was trying to get him on a bad side with the rest of the troop, almost trying to cause trouble, and apparently Tankman and some of the others weren't really paying any attention to it. It was quite funny. And it looks like they're almost accepting us as well. At one stage they used to disappear quite quickly. There's another one going to be coming out onto the road here. They sort of run away, and we couldn't really get a nice view of them, but over the weeks they have started settling down. You can see they're not really too phased about running across the road too quickly. Beautiful big male there. I know he has named one of them Jigger, and I'm just wondering if it's this little one. and he's the dominant male's. I think he's almost like a best friend to him. He usually spends a lot of time with him, quite possibly his father. This looks like a magic guari bush again. Still a few berries around this time of year. And for those of you watching a few weeks ago, this was the type of tree I was using to make a toothbrush from. I'll have to see if I can try and show those of you who missed it. It's quite useful to us. Now what I will be doing in the next couple of weeks is bringing Graham on for another fireside chat, hopefully, so he can explain to us exactly what's been going on with the politics of the baboons, and a little bit more in detail what happened with the fires. I think we've caught them on camera a few times, especially on the dam camera. I'm sure some of you have been watching and hearing the baboons calling quite a bit. I know I was sat there yesterday and we had some calling, and it definitely sounded like someone had upset somebody else, and all you saw was one of the big males chasing a smaller one. Now, it's quite a small troop. Baboons can reach some quite substantial numbers sometimes, even up to 100, but that's quite unusual. But you generally have 4 or 5 males in charge. You'll generally have the alpha male, and then it goes down in rank. A few people are asking where Tangman got his name from, and apparently that was when he was younger. He used to sit on the green tanks that hold water. That used to be one of his favourite spots. That's where Graham came up with the name Tangman. So it's quite difficult for me to tell. I haven't spent too much time with the baboons who's who, but that could possibly have been Tangman we were watching there. He seems to be quite a relaxed male. Doesn't seem to mind out of the larger males I was watching him. There's still a couple of troop members in the bush here. There we go. These couple are going to realise they're going to be left behind. almost as if they did a detour to go to that particular bush. It's quite interesting. Looks like they're slowly making their way down towards the dam, possibly going to drink. I'm counting 60. There's the one behind us. I think that's number 17 up ahead. I'm just going to try and just get a little bit further on and just see if we can get them crossing in front of us. You see the big male following the female. Well, he was actually going to try and mate. We did see one pair mating before we went live on air. I'm just wondering if it was this pair here. It looks like he possibly has found a nut and he's actually rubbing against it to try and shell it so he can eat it. I think they want some privacy, eh? Yeah, just coming out onto the road there. See a little bit of fur missing on that one. Could possibly have been her that had set one of the males yesterday. Again, we do have the vervet monkeys that live around here, but they're much smaller than the baboons. And they more of a grey colour, longer tail. You can see with the baboons as they walk, the tail curves over, whereas the monkeys, it's sort of usually held out either straight, or they may curl it over, depends on what they're doing and what they're communicating with and who with and what for, using it for balance when they're in the trees. And they've got quite a black face, but it's quite blunt, whereas if you have a look at the muzzle on the baboons, it's sort of quite prominent, just like a dog's. We've got some of the young ones over on the other side. Sometimes you will get monkeys with antelope, happens across the world where you get species of both, and generally being eyes and ears to detect predators. Obviously monkeys spend some time in the trees looking for fruits and leaves and anything that they drop on the floor the antelope can eat. And I have seen impala with baboons before, doing exactly that. I forget which type of monkey it is, but in Asia I think the axis deer also spend some time with the monkeys there doing the same sort of thing. So it's one of those relationships that you will see across the world. And of course both benefit. And if anything is picked up by the antelope, then the baboons also become aware of it, or vice versa. If you watch the Safari TV Diaries a few weeks ago, I think there was a clip of a baby baboon trying to climb the tree and not making it, but it looks like they've gained the strength over the last few weeks. And again, if anybody has any questions about baboons, you just need to email them in at finalcontrol@safari.tv. I'm just hearing a quad bike. It could actually be Graham Cook coming in, so you'll be able to see the man who does research on the baboons if it is him. Okay. No, it's not him. It's the lodge manager. It would have been quite interesting to see the reaction of the baboons if it was him. And what I have noticed with animals is they can tell the difference in vehicle noises. And there'll be obviously different vehicles sounding differently. And quad bikes sound very different to normal vehicles. So it would have been quite interesting to have watched their reaction if it was Graham coming in. It almost looks like they are watching out for him. Well, it's been quite interesting. There has been some research fairly recently, and I'm not too sure how they've gone about it, but they found that mice can tell the difference between animals that relate to each other and animals that don't relate to each other. And what's quite interesting, they've been using that ability to distinguish if baboons can smell if they related to each other or not, and apparently it's come out that they can. And what's quite interesting is if obviously the baboons can smell if they're related or not, obviously males with offspring especially, because males potentially can kill the offspring if they get in the way of a female that they want to mate with, but obviously it won't be very beneficial if it's its own offspring. So the males can distinguish if they are related to the offspring. So if baboons can do it, it does make you ask if other animals can do that as well. I think we're going to leave the baboons. It looks like they are going into the bush now. So I'm going to see if we can drive around this area, see if we get any movement or any tracks of the leopards that have been seen, or at least the tracks that were seen this morning. and maybe drive up towards Buffalo's Hook Dam, and maybe one or two others, and on our way back maybe see if we can look at the hippo and stay in this area, see if we can bump into the leopard. I'd really love to see the leopard this afternoon, as I'm sure quite a few of you already have said from the chat rooms. So definitely let's keep our fingers crossed and see if we can go and find them. So how far down did you see the tracks?
Probably just before Gallego shortcut.
Okay. And they were moving this way?
Go that way.
That way. Okay.
Only Pat saw one of the boys here this morning, just to our right. And then had a look around, and then I went a bit further west and found Karula's tracks.
Ah. So the monkeys were shouting quite a lot towards around 8-9 o'clock this morning, but I couldn't see what they were shouting at. It could have been a snake, it could have been something else, but if the tracks of the leopard were in this area, it could have been the leopard as well. So at the moment the cats probably won't be moving around too much. It's still fairly warm, but as it cools off then we may see some movements. But the leopards here in the Sabi Sands do funny things as well, so that's why I just want to have a quick check around this area. You never know, we might hit it lucky. Bless you. Okay, we have a question coming through. Oh, welcome aboard, Alan, and hope you're enjoying this afternoon with the baboons. And you're asking about any medicinal uses to help Patrick with his cold, and especially berries in this area. The berries I'm not too sure about, but I know back at Entebeni the guys would use elephant dung, and they would set light to the elephant dung and inhale the smoke, especially if they had a blocked nose, and they could inhale that for colds. And I'm pretty sure you could do the same, but obviously it will depend on what the elephants have eaten as well. But I saw the guys doing that quite a lot. But one particular one, and I haven't seen it around as yet, and Jared might be able to help me with it. If you get fever tea here.
Fever tea.
Lipia.
Maybe has a, what's it, eh?
Lipia.
No.
Okay, because we used to have quite a lot of fever tea at Entebeni, and that you could actually use. You could actually boil it up and inhale the steam. You put a cloth over your face and inhale the steam, or you could take the leaves out and drink the medicine just as a tea. And one of my old head rangers used to swear by it, and within 2 or 3 days the cold, you could actually relieve the symptoms. Probably wouldn't have cured it, but it just helped to relieve the symptoms. But what I did read is if you use it too much, it can cause liver disease or liver damage. So just like everything in the bush, you have to use it with moderation. And I have been looking out for it, but I haven't seen anything that looks vaguely similar. And I know it's found in other parts of the world as well, especially around India, I believe. It's on the Asian continent as well. and also wormwood, and I've also been looking out for wormwood, but I haven't seen it here either. And again, somebody else used to swear by that one, and it's quite a strong smelling plant, but it doesn't grow too tall. I think the tallest I saw it was about 50 centimeters, give or take. And again, you used to use that like a tea. And one of my friends also said that works very, very well for her. But berry wise here, I'm not sure. Do you know of any berries?
Not a berry. I know the protrusions on the knobthorn acacia, ground down and used as a snuff, helps to clear sinus. Nothing I know. It might be a concoction between a few bark and roots and all sorts of other things, but I'm not flu and cold. No, don't know.
No. I would have thought the marula fruit would probably help because it's very high in vitamin C. I think it's 3 times higher than the orange, if I can remember rightly. So that would help. Obviously build up your natural defense. There's some hyena tracks going that way. Have you seen any more leopard tracks?
No, just checking what that bumping sound is. It's on this left back.
Sorry?
It's on the left back tire. You can hear the doom doom on it. That's what that sound is.
Does it sound like we might have to change a tyre again?
No, it's not flat. I think it's just... Which one was it that the last flat was?
I think it was the back right, if I can remember rightly. Yeah, back right. It's funny, you tend to go through phases where you get... times where you get flat tyre for flat tyre, and then you'll get nothing for a few months. It's quite funny.
I'm in that month stage where I haven't had one yet since I've been here, but when the wave does come, I'm sure it'll be hit hard.
Yeah.
With the off-roading that I've done, I'm very surprised that I haven't had a puncture yet.
Well, I managed to get one without off-roading, so I don't know how I managed that one. I think my record was about 12 flats in a week. There were 6 with one set of guests. But to my defence, it was because the flat tyres weren't being fixed properly. But that was getting quite tedious.
Yeah.
3 on 1 drive.
How did you, if you only carry one spare, what did
I had a lot of friends.
you have to all give their spares to you?
Yeah. Even had to go back to a lodge for one. So those of you who were saying that was able to change a tyre quickly the other day, that's why I had a lot of practice.
Have you ever had to change a flat tyre with a wild animal around?
Sure, a couple of times. Especially with the lions in the dark, that was fun. But elephants, not yet. It's always been with the lions. I don't know how I manage it.
I had to change a flat tyre in Zambia. I was on my own in a Land Cruiser, driving around, practicing, working on the camera, and got a flat tyre somehow, also driving on the road, no off-roading. Stopped and a bush behind me came alive and there was a buffalo behind me, watching me change a flat tyre.
Yeah, you definitely learn to change them very quickly.
Yeah.
And finding termite holes as well. My old reserve, we used to have a lot more termite hills, and also with the termites you got a lot of aardvark. And there was one particular plain we used to call Nkoti Plains, which just means hole, because everywhere you drove there was holes, and of course the lions were sitting right in the middle of it. And I think every one of us, including the manager at the time as well, managed to find at least 2 holes, either going in or coming out. That was quite fun that night, and hence we definitely gave it that name. But it's one of those things, you have to learn to deal with a situation while you're in the bush, like it or not, you have to deal with it.
Just thinking, the one you're talking about, the fever tea, we do have a bushman's tea here.
I've heard of that, but it is a different plant.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if it smells to me like peanuts.
Okay.
Sometimes it smells like peanuts, sometimes it smells like rubber.
Rubber.
Yeah.
Well, where are we likely to find that one?
I saw one just now. That's what sparked my memory about the Bushman's tea.
If you see it again, if we can stop.
Alrighty.
And show me, because I don't know that one. I've heard of it, but to my knowledge, we didn't get it at my old reserve. So we had the Lipia javanica.
Here it is here on the right.
Sorry?
There it is. Is it this one? I'm just trying to see. Go back.
And Lipia citronella.
Wait, don't switch off. It's got a very glossy leaf.
This is
No, it's not.
alternate.
Bushman's tea has got a very, very glossy leaf. And it's a shrub about that size, maximum about 1 meter high. No, it doesn't look like it.
Okay. Well, this one I don't know
It's
either.
going to be losing its leaves at the moment, so it's not going to be easy to see now. But I will shout.
Cool. Yeah, we're trying to look for the Bushman's tea.
It wasn't one there back there.
Yeah, it wasn't the right tree either.
We'll have a look. I will make
so
sure.
We'll definitely have a look out for it, because I'm quite keen to see it. Having heard of it. So I'm still trying to get used to a lot of the plants in this area. I was just saying to Jared before we went on air. Oh, we got it. But I need to...
Let me just smell it. If I smell it, I'll tell you. This one here, it's like a viney... No, yeah, that one. Just have a look.
Smell it?
That's it. That's the one.
Okay. Okay. I'm not smelling peanuts.
What do you smell?
Nothing.
You see.
But then again, my nose is broken. Have I got the right leaf? Maybe I don't have the right leaf.
It's this one that looks... Yes, that one.
Okay.
Break it up. Ooh, I smell it. It's almost immediate. Very much like a peanut. And some days it smells like balloon rubber.
Not really smelling that. Either of them.
Doesn't look like very much now. It doesn't have all its leaves at the moment.
Do you know its flowers?
It doesn't have flowers.
It doesn't have. Is this part of it as well?
This is all of it here. Yes, this is all of it here.
And this is as big as it gets to.
Yep, but see, it's creeping onto this whole.
Yeah.
Sort of. This is it here. There we go. Bushman's tea, they call it. I think it's got quite a few different names.
And you just make a tea from it as the others.
Yeah. I haven't really used it much. I just know what it is and what it looks like, and don't have too many uses. Maybe grab a few leaves and
Why are you going to try it? We're going to make Patrick the guinea pig.
let me just lock off here so I can...
Do you want to... I've got?
There we go.
Okay. I don't know if you can...
There we go.
You're seeing that nicely. So it's... looks like it's alternate leaves. Rather than, so it's 1, 2... rather than being completely opposites like in some trees. So that's one of the ways you can actually distinguish the features. Looks like a beetle larvae's eaten this. Beetle, because of its being eaten from the inside, caterpillar eats from the outside.
That's your Bushman tea.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the first one for me. So I'm going to be putting that one in my scrapbook. I've got a scrapbook with leaves in, and I try and I write down the Latin name and write a couple of uses, and that's what I used to do when I was a student. And I've still got my scrapbook, and I've been collecting leaves from trees as and when I can remember, and it just helps me just to remember them, especially when I'm in a new area. So I'm probably going to be doing it for a few trees, and hopefully it will help me to remember them in this area as well. As I say, I've only been in this area now for about 2 months, so trying to remember the new trees. There's some that I remember from my Bush Academy years, which has helped me, and there's one or two that I had in Entebeni, but the habitat was very, very different. It was completely different rock. We had sandstone, whereas this is granite, so obviously there's different minerals in it, so we're going to be finding different trees here. And with the difference in height and the altitude, where I was at Entebeni, we had a 600-meter high escarpment, so we had anywhere from 1,100 meters above sea level to about 1,700 meters above sea level, whereas here I think it's about 200 meters above sea level, 260.
That's a bit higher than that.
A bit higher.
Yeah, we're probably at about 350, around about 300, 350.
Yeah. So it's a very, very big difference in altitude as well, and obviously with the granite rock, it's giving a lot of different vegetation to what I'm used to. So I'm still learning with the trees and everything. But as I say, there are some that I do remember from way back when. So it's great to have people on board as well. And if I can find another tree, see if you guys can identify it as well. You guys can help me learn. And speaking of Patrick, he's going to be doing a fireside chat this afternoon, 6:30. So he's been out and getting some information for his show. So I'm quite keen to see what it is that he's got together for that. That's going to be at 6:30 Central Africa time. And as yet we haven't got any more tracks from the leopard so far. I'm just keeping a lookout in amongst the vegetation for any movement. What's really shaken me is from moving here from especially areas like Entebeni, where we have a lot of rocky outcrops. The amount of times we found leopards sleeping on the floor is quite interesting to me. They seem to obviously go into the trees when they have their kill, to protect their kill from hyenas, especially in the area, and the lion. But probably 9 times out of 10, every time we found the leopard, they've been on the floor. As I say, from what I remember watching in documentaries and what you read, they're supposed to sleep in trees a lot. So it's quite interesting. It could be during the day, and what we have seen is when the hyenas have come close to them and they've been sleeping or they don't have a kill. We've actually had a couple of times where the hyena have come up to the leopard, maybe about half a meter away, and even less than that on one occasion. And it's almost as if it's like, well, it's not worth trying anything because there's nothing to fight over. So the hyena just goes on its way. So it could be that the hyena aren't really interested in attacking unless there is any food to attack for. And if the lions aren't in the area, then there's little else really for the leopard to worry about. That's what I can understand from the reasoning why they'll be on the floor as much as they are. Somewhere towards the back of our camp, somewhere here, and that's where I heard the monkeys calling today. Very well used game trail. If you're following us on the map, you won't see this road on the map. This is one of the firebreak roads that just links the Lego shortcut to Mvubu Road. And with there have been a lot of activity close to the drainage line, I just wanted to try this road out. So thank you very much, Alan, for that question. I hope that's answered it for you. As I say, unfortunately with the berries I've not heard of anything, but I'll have a look, and if anyone else knows of any trees that might be in the area that do have berries with medicinal properties, I'd be quite keen to hear about them as well. For those of you who are just joining us, and just to let you know, it's myself, Tara, who's going to be guiding you this afternoon. And we have Jared on board Jigger on the camera. And we have Kath in final control, so if there's any questions you'd like to ask me, then you just need to email Kath at the email address finalcontrol@safari.tv. And with this being live, we can answer those questions as soon as they come in. So we'll be able to answer them while we're on drive. So if there's anything you'd like to ask, you saw with Alan, we were able to find some trees that he was interested in. So if there's anything that you would like to ask, feel free, send it in, and we'll see if we can answer it as best we can. Have a nice look in here as well into the drainage line here. See if there's anybody moving around in there. It tends to be a lot more cooler, a lot more shade in there, so especially when it's still fairly hot. If the leopard are moving, they might be moving in the drainage lines. We haven't seen Karula for a little while as well. I'm hoping to catch up with her. But if she was walking along Voyatella Access, chances are she's gone up towards Sydney's Dam, just to the north of Gowrie Gate. That's what she seems to do once she's gone through Voyatella Access. But she may have come back round. We've had a lot of elephants around here. I think we heard some just at the back of camp. today, and I think they may have come down to Gary to drink at some stage. I think we'll head down to Chelapan as well, see if there's any hippos along the way at Gary down. But I don't think the hippos that were in Gary Dam included Bob and his or her mother. And we first thought that the Bob was back, because they moved away probably about 4 or 5 days ago now. And I was hoping that she may have come back and brought the rest of her family. But it looks like the 4 hippos that were in there, the youngster looked just a little bit too big to have been Bob. Remember, he's only about 2 months old now. Alrighty, we have a question coming through. Okay, welcome aboard, Laura from Portugal. That's one place I still would love to go. I've never been yet. I heard the food there is wonderful. I must admit, I do enjoy seafood especially. But you'd like to know, is there any hunting around here? And especially on the game reserves like this, no hunting is allowed. And these areas are for conservation, and especially if hunting occurs, then you don't get as close to the animals as what we do, so you kind of have a negative impact on them. Especially in this type of area, we also have the lodges where we have tourists coming in so that they can also see the animals, and obviously with them coming here it helps to protect the animals, raising awareness of them, and obviously bringing money so that we can keep this area protected. Looks like our elephants went off in that direction. Actually, you know what? I think we're just going to try that road. They may just be in this block here. I can't hear anything, but you never know. So thankfully, no, Laura. And it really is amazing how quickly animals do pick up on those sorts of things. And I had to use a blowpipe for injecting kangaroos, especially at the zoo I used to work at. And those that we used to have to inject on a regular basis if they had a problem, we used to have to give them antibiotics, and to try and reduce the stress to the animal, you try and obviously limit the amount of contact that you have with it. So we used to use a blowpipe, which was just a long tube, and you put the antibiotics into a little dart, and in one half you put the antibiotics and the other half you put the air, and there's a little needle that has a hole on the side, and you cover that with a little sheath, so that when that needle hits the animal, the sheath pulls back and it injects the antibiotics. And they use that for injecting any drugs into animals to knock them out as well. It's the same sort of principle.
There's a porcupine quill in the road on your right now. Look down.
Ah, nice. Well spotted. Just pointing out the porcupine quill. If I hold it there, you can see it in relation to my hand as well. Unfortunately, I can't see any tracks from the porcupine. But it's nice to know that they're in the area. Maybe we'll hit it lucky on one of the night drives at some stage and see the porcupine. I'm trying to keep it as still as possible. But you can see it's very, very sharp right at the top here, needle sharp. And that'll be the point that will stick into a predator. And it's basically made of the same substance as our hair, our fingernails, the rhino horn. It's keratin. And that's what makes the quill. Now the porcupine can't fire the quills, it's a bit of a bush myth, but they will back into a predator. So if there's any predators around, you'll get the quills coming up on the back, and they'll start rattling the tail, and they'll have quite a few of these on the tail, and it actually makes quite a loud rattling sound. And they'll stamp the feet as well, and if you don't pay attention to that, they'll reverse into you, and they're quite a strong animal. I used to work with those also at the zoo, and these animals, they're not scared of putting up a fight if they need to, but they're very, very strong, and they will reverse into you, and these quills will then stick into obviously a predator's face if it's a lion, or as I say, if there's anything else around that it's trying to attack it, then it will try and reverse into the face of that as well. So keratin's quite an amazing substance.
And how does it stop? There we go. I just want to try and get as close to it. Look at that sharp one.
I wonder if I should maybe just put it on the side here.
Can you put it in a hole somewhere, or try and hold it up?
Because I'm trying to hold it and I can see it's still wobbling. Let's see, can I maybe put it on the side there? Would that be better?
No, that's good, yeah.
It's better. There you go. Obviously black and white is a warning, and in the animal world, anything with black and white does mean warning, whether it be I'm aggressive, I've got some form of way to defend myself, like the porcupine. Some of you are in the chat room today were talking about skunks and having the smell, and they're able to shoot out the smell. So again, they're black and white. It's a warning. Don't mess with me. I've got some way to defend myself. There you go. You can see that very, very sharp point on the end there. And porcupine being the largest rodent here in South Africa. Now, I have mentioned a couple of times on Drive, but I want to see if any of you were paying attention or not, or if anybody does know. And what do you think the largest rodent is in the world and where it lives? I just want to see if anybody knows.
My hand is up.
That's nice. Well done for spotting that one. So I'm going to leave it here so that other people can enjoy seeing it, because you don't get to see them too often. So I'm sure other guests will enjoy seeing that as well. So I'm going to leave it here for others to find it. With it being 4 o'clock now, it does mean that the other Game Drive viewers are going to be coming out, so hopefully if they bump into anything, we'll be able to respond if it's within our 1,000 hectares of traversing. And just to finish off with my blowpipe story, it was amazing that the kangaroos could start to recognize this blowpipe, and as soon as they saw it, they would run. And it may even be after a couple of injections, and then they would learn, okay, if I see that, then I'm going to get a needle in my bum. And it only took them a couple of times. Some of them didn't mind, but the odd one or two, they would be off like a shot. It doesn't take too much for them to remember and to recognise. And that's why it's so important when we drive around and when we approach the animals to make sure that we're respectful of them, because they will remember it. If it's something bad and negative, they will remember it very, very quickly, and they'll remember you. And I remember one of my friends saying that they were watching some lions trying to hunt, and they were on one side of the fence, so they were on completely the opposite side of the fence of one of their game reserves, and unfortunately their presence actually had an interference with the hunt, and apparently there was one lioness that just looked at them, and I'm pretty sure she was keeping a record of their faces for next time. But as I say, it'd be quite interesting to see how she would react to them next time. But again, very, very interesting. And the animals, they do recognise, they do understand. And as I said earlier, they'll recognise even just the sound of the engine. And I'm definitely seeing it. I've seen it on occasion throughout my career. And you can be sat there with an animal for a good half an hour or so, sleeping, not really caring that you're there, and as soon as they hear a particular vehicle, they'll get up and move away. So they do know. Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Do they know where it comes from? Anyone saying? Okay, cool. So well done to everybody who got okay. Well done to everybody who got the answer correct. It is a capybara, which is the largest rodent in the world. They look like a giant guinea pig with a gland on the nose and slightly webbed feet. They're quite an aquatic rodent. And I think it was Dad who got it right from South America. It's from South America. So it's kind of equivalent to our antelope here, if you like. They're quite large, maybe around a metre or so. So you could fit a capybara quite nicely on the top of Jigger here. And they kind of make very funny sounds. It's like a sort of thing. Good afternoon, all stations, Taraso Mobile. And just one thing about porcupines as well. With them having so many quills, you would have thought that mating wouldn't happen very often. But actually, between pairs, it can happen every day. It strengthens the bonds between them. So there you go. They just obviously do it very, very carefully. Okay, we have a couple of questions coming through. Okay, Randy, that's quite an interesting question about the quills there, about the porcupine quills. Do they get shed? Or is it just when they use in defense? And what I did notice, especially at the zoos, they were shed fairly regularly. So I was just trying to avoid this buffalo thorn. And they were shed fairly regularly, and I would say just to obviously keep them in good condition, because there was sometimes they would split, obviously be made of hair and things, and keratin, the same substance as your hair. And that's possibly why we found that one on the road there. It had shed it, and there was a new one growing through. But but we did used to find them fairly often actually in their enclosure. And what's also quite interesting, if ever you have a look at a picture of a porcupine, look at its ear. That's one of the things it always shook me about porcupines, was how similar their ear is to ours. And if you think about a cat, it's pointed, dogs fairly pointed, bears are quite rounded, but porcupines, it's the same as ours. It just doesn't look like it belongs there. It's very, very odd to me. That's one of the features that really stood out on a porcupine for me. So thank you very much for that question, Randy. So it'd be nice to see a porcupine now that we know that there's one around here. Oh, what's that in the road? Can you have a look on this side? Is it something or is it nothing?
Trash.
Yeah. It just looked funny from where I was back there.
It's a track that's scuffed.
Oh, okay. Actually, I said I was going to show you guys how to make a toothbrush, wasn't I? For those of you who don't know. So, I'm just going to go and grab a branch quickly. I'll be back. I just remembered I should never park next to a thorn tree. It's never a really good idea. Okay, so we have a magic guari, and again this was fairly new to me. On my old reserve we would use the common guari or the blue guari in particular, and what I found that's different, and I'm sure some of you remember on one of my first drives I thought it was the common kari, because it looked to me that there was three branches off of the leaf, but when I actually got closer I realised it's not, and it's very, very wavy but very large leaves. Now the common kari actually has very wavy leaves, but they're much, much smaller. Their leaves are probably about that sort of size, so the size difference of the leaves is quite amazing. And also for the blue guari, they're not as undulating as this, but it has kind of a bluey green colour. So the guaris, you can use any of them to make a toothbrush. Well, tell me if you're not really getting this, but you can take off the bark from one side. I'm sure everyone has their own way of doing it, so that you don't have any bark on the side there, and then you can just start to spread the bits of fibre about, and obviously make sure that you chop it off nice and neatly so you don't have any bristles longer than the others. And then you can spread them apart. So if I put it on here actually, Jared, I don't know if you can, is it that side or this side? Okay.
That sounds fine.
Okay. And hopefully Jared can zoom in so you can actually see the parts that are spread out. And that is your toothbrush. Quick, easy, so you never have to remember your toothbrush when you're going into the bush. So you can use it. Doesn't really taste of anything, but it does work. And remember Mark telling me that there has been some research done, or he's read something somewhere that it does contain some form of antibacterial property as well. So it could be that was another reason why these bushes were used, just obviously to help with the bacteria that's in your mouth. But some trees you can get the toothpaste from. The sickle bush, which we do have in this area, I was looking around for one actually. I think there's one behind us. So they are in this area. And again, if you use it for firewood, you take the ash in the morning and you mix it around with milk and you can use it as a toothpaste. Same with the Combretum imberbe, the leadwood, also makes a fairly good toothpaste, although that one you can use as a whitewash, so I'm a little bit skeptical about using that on your teeth. But those are a couple of trees that you can use for toothpaste. And actually that's one thing I need to try and remember is the Latin name. It will be a Euclea.
Which one? This one? Magic Worry?
Yeah.
Euclea Devanorum.
Devanorum.
For divining.
Devanorum. The common guari was the Euclea crispa. Sorry, the Euclea undulata, and the blue guari was the Euclea crispa, if I remember rightly. Quite bumpy, this bit of road. So it'll be quite... Okay, we have a question coming through. No worries. Okay, thank you very much, Tex, for your question. And you're just asking, obviously we've seen some of the hyenas around fairly recently, and is it a cat or is it a dog? I think it always used to be classified as a dog, but as you may have heard, there's been a lot of changes with the taxonomy of the classification of the animals, and hyenas are now put in with the cat part of the order. So for just to try and clarify, you've got the order Carnivora, and then you've got the suborders, which are the feliforms and the caniforms. And the feliforms are the cats, and the caniforms are the dogs. And so the family Hyonidae falls in underneath the suborder the feliforms. Even though they do look a bit like a dog, they're classified as the cat now. I'm just trying to remember, there's a couple of things that make them the cats, and that's the auditory meatus, which is a little bone inside the ear, and in cats it's a ring, and in dogs it's a long tube. And that's one of the reasons for them being a cat. Just having a look around to see if we have any of the spotted cats. They still keeping themselves. I think they might still be in amongst the bushes just at the back of camp. So we'll definitely be making our way this way as it gets cooler. But I think we'll have a drive up towards Buffalo's Hook Dam as well, maybe take Hyena Road. But I just want to have a quick look at the hippo. It looks like they're closer to the dam walls, so we'll have a quick look at them before heading on. I'd love to know where Bob and his mother, or her mother, has gone. I was quite enjoying seeing them on a daily basis and watching Bob's progress, and apparently it was getting onto the back of the mother quite well towards the end of their stay here at Gowrie Dam. So I'm sure a lot of you are also enjoying having Bob and the mother around. I must admit there was quite a few of us very excited in the chat room when we saw that the hippos were back. I just want to try and stop here so we don't get too much glare from the sun. And there's 3 of them now. I don't know where there was 4 of them earlier. Now for the size of a hippo, you're looking at roughly around 1.5, 1.8 tons. For a very large male, there's the 4th one. For a very large male, might go up to about 3 tons. So there's a bit of a debate as to whether the hippo or the rhino is the largest, or the 2nd largest land mammal after the elephant. And in some books they'll say it's the hippo, some books they'll say it's the rhino. Rhino being roughly around 2.5 tons. But with them, yeah, we'll have a wave. Hi to everybody there, and just to remind you, this is live. So you're seeing how we do a game drive here in South Africa. We're here in the beautiful reserve of Djuma Game Reserve, driving around, seeing what animals we can find, and obviously enjoying the African bush for its treasures here. And the beauty of it is that it is live, so we really don't know what's going to happen next. You can hear a pill-spotted owl calling in the background. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to pick it up, but kind of goes something like.
If it does call again, I'll turn the mic around here.
It's not my best one ever, but I did manage to have a conversation with one the other day. So much so I was actually calling it in. So I should actually just correct myself, it's an owlet. Pill-spotted owlet. It's quite a small one. Got the pill-spotted owlet, and I forget the other owlet actually. I think it's the barred owlet. The 2 smallest here in South Africa. I'm just having a look at this hippo here. It's sort of half raising his body out of the water. I don't know why it's doing it to us or to it's just playing with the others. So that's sometimes a form of aggression. They'll raise the body up and they'll turn and use their tail just to signify that they're not pleased. But I think it's just playing with the others. Yeah, the barred owlet.
I'm going to just hold up the picture and
Okay, I'll have a look. Let's see if we can show you. This is the pill-spotted owlet. And you can see it's got the 2 dark spots on the back of its head to look like eyes. And then you've got the barred owlet just here. So 2 fairly small owls that we have here in South Africa. Although the barred owlet being larger than the Scops owl by about 2 centimeters, which is this one. So I'll have to keep a lookout for those as well, but definitely keep hearing the pill-spotted owlet a lot, and it's quite normal to see those owlets out and around even this time of day. And they will start to move around later on in the afternoon, and they'll still be around sort of fairly late on in the morning as well, especially as we go into winter. We're going to leave the hippos, but let's say this hippo just looks a little bit too big to be a 2-month-old. 2-month-old. Blonde moment. 2-month-old. 2-month-old. There we go. I'd say maybe this one would be about 8 months. What do you reckon, Jared?
Yeah, he's quite...
Looks quite old.
Maybe even a little bit more than that.
Maybe a bit more, okay. Okay, well, we'll continue on. I'm sure we spent quite a bit of time with the hippos here with the dam camp. Hopefully they're going to stick around for a few days. It'd be nice to have them here.
Plenty space.
Sorry?
Plenty space.
Oh, over. Oh. Okay, I'm just going to try and listen to the radio and just see if they've seen some things. They are talking a little bit, but I think it's more where they're going to look for the animals this afternoon. Okay, we have a question. Okay, welcome aboard, Paul. I hope you're doing well this afternoon. And you'd like to know how large the home range of a leopard is. Well, the leopards actually hold on to territories. And the difference being, territories are defended, so you get them scent marking, and you will get, especially males, fighting off any of the males in the area, whereas home ranges aren't defended, and they tend to be much larger. You can also have animals that have both. You can have them moving around, especially outside of breeding seasons, in a home range. Say like the impala, for instance, and when it becomes breeding season they'll have a territory, and it tends to be much smaller than the home range. So leopards have the territories, and again it depends on how much food is available, and especially here in the Sabi Sands the amount of food available is quite high, and we have seen some territories overlapping, so you might actually have maybe 2 or 3 females within a male's territory. And so we've seen White Cloth, a female that's had a territory down in Mala Mala, and she's been up here for a couple of days. Not too sure if she's relocating her territory or what her story is at the moment, but she hasn't been in Mala Mala for a few months now apparently. And our resident leopard, who has our 1,000-hectare traversing area as pretty much her full territory by what we can see. I know she does go into the area sort of further north from here. Actually, I want to go down the next one, into the neighbouring reserve, or part of the reserve. And I'm not too sure if I don't think she really goes that way, does she? Not from what I understand. So hers, you can maybe say roughly about 1,000 hectares. But obviously that's in this area. As you go into the areas sort of further north and into other areas of Africa, they may have larger territories because of the amount of prey being much more few and far between. So they have to have a larger territory to incorporate more area, so it can incorporate more prey. So that really will dictate how big an area they have, and obviously the amount of leopard in the area. So if you've got quite a high amount of leopard in the area, the territories might be a lot smaller as well. And what we found at Entebeni's, we had a very, very large male, and I was there recently. and we always thought it was one male, and they've been doing some research since I've left, and they've actually found that there's possibly 2 males there, which would make sense because that was quite a large area. We're talking about 22,000 hectares, and we weren't too sure how many leopards were on there because they don't get seen as regularly as the leopards here in the Sabi Sands. And the reason being, unfortunately, it's quite big farmland up there, and leopards are quite badly persecuted because it's believed they take a lot of livestock. So they obviously associated humans with danger, and so they were to keep out of our way. And it was quite a relatively young reserve compared to Juma Game Reserve and the rest of Sabi Sands. So again, it's going to take a long time before the leopards there actually understand that we weren't going to harm them. And around there, as I say, we used to see him in an area of probably about 4,000 hectares. The areas where we would catch him on the camera or on game drive. But as I say, it's quite difficult to say if it was just him all the time or whether it was this other male as well. And the females, we reckoned there was roughly around 5 resident leopards in the 22,000 hectares, which is obviously a lot more than Sabi Sands territories that are held. Okay, we've got some tracks. We've got.
I had the ones this morning.
I was going to say they look quite old. There's a lot of detail gone. Are they moving back that way?
Yeah.
And I've got hyena going that way. And I've got the elephant, the old tracks where we picked them up, going out that side by the looks of it. Good afternoon, stations. Has there been any updates?
Good afternoon. It looks like taking something at Twin Dam and also Twin Kobe there. So it looks like here, if you go there, you can find them.
Copy that, thank you very much. Is there space for me?
I'm not sure, there was a couple more of us from west.
Copy that, thank you.
They're Twin Dams.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a big herd of buffalo and 2 rhino down towards Twin Dams. So we're currently on Central, so we're going to head down that way. We'll take Vulture's Nest onto Twin Dams and see if we can head round there and see if we can catch up with them. Some Crested Franklin in the road there. Awesome, thank you very much, Aquila. And just in TV chat room, just saying that they've found one of the Styx females in Mala Mala. She was on an impala kill this morning. So I don't know if it's one of the youngsters or whether it's one of the adults. But obviously the Styx Pride, that's where their main area is for the lions, but they do come through our part of Juma as well, and they've been quite unsettled recently, and apparently the adults were down towards Mala Mala with the Mapocho males, but I'm not too sure which ones. And apparently the Mapocho males have split up. They were a coalition of 6, and they've split up with Kinky Tail and Mr. T splitting off from the others. And I think they've spent so much time on their own that Mala Mala were then calling them the Milawati brothers, or the Milawati coalition, these 2. Oh, we have a nice big roadblock here. You see all the damage that the elephants have caused to the trees, knocking them over. Okay. I'm hoping we're going to go the right way over this buffalo thorn. might be changing another tyre. Say the thorns are generally not too long, but you never know. Sometimes if you get one just right, it can cause a puncture. So thank you very much for that update, and as I say, it's always great just to get these updates, and obviously I'll pass them on to everybody else as well. It's even when we're not seeing them, it's nice to know where they might be and the likelihood of them coming back into the area. And as I say, for the last week or so we've been having the 3 young females and the 1 young male who's roughly around 2 years old, with the 4 female, possibly 5 adult females from the Styx Pride not being with them. And it has been quite interesting. We've definitely been wanting to know what's been going on. Almost looks like they may have been in a bit of a fight, possibly with the Mapoka males, who are notorious for injuring the other lions in the area, and even eating them, which is quite unusual. So I wonder if they've been up to the old tricks. Actually, you can move that one out the way. And just move these 2 branches out the way for next time. Ja. Okay. So a very warm welcome to anybody joining us. And just to let you know who I am, I'm your guide for this afternoon. My name's Tara. And we have Jared, who's working the camera this afternoon, and Kath in final control. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask me, and with us being live, I can ask them in real time. And Kath will radio them through to me, and I'll be able to answer them for you. And if I can't, then we'll ask the audience. It's a shame there's not any money involved. But what the beauty about it is that we can actually see the nature from Africa real time. So what you are seeing is what we're doing right now, and we don't know, there could be an animal, an elephant just around the corner here. We've had some pretty awesome encounters, especially this week. We've had a lot of elephants, and a few people have actually seen myself and Patrick getting a dust bath with these elephants, and one even decided that he had a bit too much mucus in his nose and decided to use me as the target to relieve that mucus. And as I say, we've even had leopards hunting right next to the vehicle. But I can't tell you if that's going to happen today, as this is unscripted. So I hope you stay with us, and we can see if we can find the rhino and the buffalo for you. They've been spotted a short while ago, so I'm going to make my way there and see if we can catch up with them. And I believe we have a question coming through.
Where are you working on? At 2 guns west. 2 guns outside. Okay, so when you actually cross with south, if you look for them, maybe you can see some of those other boys. Okay, I'll change the road from 2 guns west to come outside west.
Alright, thank you very much, Racer, for your information. And that I didn't know. He's saying that it's classified actually as a drug here in South Africa because it contains, I think it was cathinone. Is that right, Kath? Or cathin? Yeah, cathinone. So that I didn't know. So it's obviously quite a powerful tea. So I think we, as I say, you do have a lot of toxic plants, and sometimes the toxics in the plants can actually be more deadly than animals like the snakes. And sometimes you only need a few milligrams and it can kill you. Station with the Inyati and Mkombe truck. Yeah, I'm just going to try and call the rangers that should be with these animals, just as some etiquette. Confirm you're with the Inyati and Mkombe at Twindam.
The Inyati, they crossed south, but there was still some better boy following behind them. But yeah, most of them already crossed south away from Garden.
Copy that. Confirm, is anybody with the two Mkombe?
I missed that again. My audio is too much more. Can you repeat that?
Okay, copy. Is it possible for me to approach the area?
There was only one sort of vehicle there, but yeah, you can approach those fine. I'm also out of that area.
Copy that, thank you.
What do you think?
It sounds like the herds have already moved off. But we'll see if we can catch maybe a dugger boy or two. Hello, how you doing? Hi guys. Okay, cool.
I just saw that part of it.
They've already gone. Alright, thank you. And was there any rhino there still? Was there any rhino there still?
I think they were talking about
further down. Oh, okay. No worries. Oh, I'll take a drive down there anyway.
Okay, cool.
Alright, enjoy your drive, guys.
Alright,
Same. I'm going to be heading back up there, hey.
okay, thanks.
Alrighty. Thank you. I don't know if you guys are able to see, but that was Andrew there. Very, very nice guy.
No, I didn't show the vehicle. Any of the folks on the vehicle?
It's been very helpful, definitely, to there's new people driving around here. So we'll definitely be giving him a hand, try and look for leopard on later on. And we'll quick look around to it. I haven't seen any around. I think they occur here. I need to just check the distribution, but we had very, very toxic plants, also with the name Bushman in it. Bushman's poison bulb, highly, highly toxic, and it's actually a plant that was very sacred to the Sepedi people. So much so that they when they find a Bushman's poison bulb, they will then create their village around it, and that is the central point. They actually build their church around it, so very, very important to the Sepedi people, and they will use it to contact their ancestors, so it's only used in circumstances where that needs to happen. But if you talk to a Sepedi lady, she can tell you how much of this bulb is used to kill somebody over 14 days. It will tell you the size of the person, will tell her the size of the person, height, girth, weight, and she can give give you the dosage over the days, and this toxin builds up so that the person dies of a natural heart attack. And very few doctors know what to look for if that happens. If you gave the dose all in one go, it would kill the person out of poisoning. So it's a very, very lethal plant, and as I say, it's one of those plants, and there's quite a few toxic plants in South Africa, Tamboti being another one. What's quite interesting is that black rhino eat very, very toxic plants, and that could be why they are quite aggressive. And the Tamboti we do get here, and it can be used as an insect repellent. Actually, I'm going to go south because they did go that way, so I'm going to go this way, see if we can catch up to them. Apparently someone was saying that the rhinos had already gone south, so they may have already been south. We'll still have a look around, see if the Duggar boys are there. But as I say, if you take the Tamboti and use it for firewood, and you try and cook something on it, you're going to be very, very sick. If you smoke, if you put a little twig on, it'll help to keep the insects away. It looks like we've got a grey heron there. We'll come back and see it way back through, I think. Okay, I think we have a question coming through. Good afternoon to you, Susan. I hope you're well. And you'd like to know, do we have any Cory bustards around here? I know certainly there are in Kruger, but I don't know, I haven't seen any as yet down here. I don't know if we're a little bit too far from Kruger to get them. Do you know, are we supposed to get them around here?
No, not around really. Here, more open plains east of us.
Yeah, so now you get the carmine bee eaters that'll actually sit on the backs and use the Cory bustards, which are quite a large bird, actually the heaviest flying bird here in South Africa. And they'll use them as a lookout post. In much the same way they'll use them to hitch a ride for any insects that might be around. And there's some of the tracks. Wow, there's been a lot of traffic through here already. It does look like they're most all gone that way. I'm just going to have a quick scan along here, see if we have any other of the Duggar boys. It looks like it was quite a large herd, a big herd. Some impala just through the trees. Actually, I'm going to turn around and head back down so we're not looking into the sun. It doesn't look like there's any stragglers at the moment. I'll try. Okay, I'm going to turn around here anyway. And we'll try the other side of the dam, maybe see if we can see those impala as well. Oh well, it was worth a try. Could have caught the last few boys. So they haven't been coming down to Gowrie Dam as they were. They're actually coming down every day and wallowing in the water. Okay. I'm just going to go around the other side of the dam and see if we can have a look at the grey heron, and then we'll head back towards, I'll cut over to Gowrie again and head back towards Buffles Hook Dam, around that area. Go up here a little bit. A bachelor group of impala here. I don't know if you were able to see the ram that was up ahead of us. He was just using the gland in between his horns, his sebaceous gland. And the rams will use that to mark territory as well. They will use middens, so it'll be their toilet to mark the territory, as well as displaying to other males. Now what's happened here is we're actually seeing the end of the breeding season now, but all the males that aren't fit enough or strong enough to hold on to a territory, impala get eaten by anything and everything, from eagles when they're younger, through to jackal, through to lion and leopard, even hyena. So all sorts of animals, all shapes and sizes will eat impala, so they do need to form a group, so there's eyes and ears to detect predators all the time. So you can see there's different aged males here. The one in screen may be roughly around 3 or 4 years. And it looks like some very old males as well, but again, when they hold on to a territory, they run themselves into the ground. So they'll lose condition very, very rapidly over a few days. And they'll not eat as much. They'll make sure that they're keeping their territory, first of all, away from other males, so they'll carry on fighting the males. They'll display continuously, especially if there's females in there, and if there are females on this territory, he'll round them up and push them towards the centre of his territory. So they'll lose condition very, very quickly, and there's always another male to come in and fight and defeat that other male. And if that happens, he'll go into a bachelor group, regain his strength, and then continue on and try and fight for territory again. So you've got there's quite a large horned impala behind this youngster. Okay, we're going to continue on. As I say, I'm quite keen to get up to the northern side again as we start to lose the light.
Yeah, and everybody was in the north, so the south. The next Buga went south to the
So there were rhino here, but they did move south. Are you going to be able to get the heron from here?
Try?
Hmm?
Can try.